Only then did Jason and Mr. Weasley call it a night, while Sirius remained on the children's side, arm around Fred and George, telling jokes nonstop. The 8 Weasleys returned to their 2 tents. Derek and the others settled in Sirius's large tent, each in their own room, and enjoyed a hot bath. As was his habit for over a month, Derek didn't sleep normally, but practiced his brain-closing technique in bed. Yet tonight, after so much excitement and the ongoing singing outside, he couldn't clear his mind. Suddenly, the door burst open. Jason dashed through the hallway, flinging open Hermione's and Harry's doors in quick succession, shouting, "Up, Derek! Hermione! Harry! Emergency!" The camp sounds had shifted, the singing stopped, replaced by screams and panicked running. Derek didn't even change out of his pajamas. He quickly pulled on climbing pants, slipped into sneakers barefoot, threw on his jacket, grabbed his wand from the bedside table, and dashed out. By the light of the still burning fires, he saw people fleeing into the woods as if trying to escape something moving through the camp. Behind them, hooded wizards with masked faces advanced, laughing and jeering, casting spells. Above, 4 struggling figures were manipulated like puppets by the magic. Others had set tents ablaze. Derek instinctively raised his wand, but a hand grabbed his arm from the side. "No, take Harry and Hermione into the woods. We'll handle this," Sirius barked, eyes sharp, leaning into the tent. "You two, put on something warm now." "What are they doing?" Hermione screamed as she stepped out, barely wearing a denim jacket. Harry trailed behind, still in slippers, looking dazed. "I'm going to help those people," Sirius shouted over the chaos, rolling up his sleeves. "You 3, head to the woods, stay with the Weasleys. Don't split up, I'll find you." "Jason with me?" "Of course. Let's go," Jason said solemnly, turning to Derek. "I trust you. Protect yourself, protect your friends." They drew their wands and charged at the approaching group. Some ministry staff broke from the fleeing crowd, rushing toward the attackers. "Lumos, move!" Derek raised his wand high with his right hand, holding Hermione's hand with his left. "Keep Harry close. Don't get separated." On the way, they ran into the Weasley twins along with Ron and Ginny. Their father and 3 older brothers were nowhere to be seen, clearly off helping elsewhere. "Thank Merlin you're safe," Ron shouted, holding out his hand to Harry. "Let's go, into the forest." The once bright lanterns were now extinguished. In the woods, shadowy figures stumbled through the darkness, children crying and shouting. Tense, anxious voices echoed under the cold night sky. Derek felt himself pushed and jostled by the crowd, clinging tightly to Hermione's hand as he pulled her forward. At last, he found a slightly wider slope of earth and forced his way through with Hermione. Like a string of fish, they slipped through the crowd, each holding the other. The tip of Derek's wand flared with a burst of soft white light, illuminating the nearby faces, pale and sweating. His heart skipped a beat. One of the twins, Harry, and Ron were gone. "They got separated?" he panted. "I'm sorry, I couldn't keep hold of Harry," Hermione said, her voice quivering with tears, her left hand gripping Derek's tightly. "There were too many people in that section." It's okay. The 3 of them are surely together. Everyone around here is hiding. They'll be fine," Derek quickly reassured her. "I'll go find them," the other twin said, looking at his red-haired sister. "Ginny, stay here. Don't leave. Stay with Hermione and Derek." Hey, Derek called after him. Ginny squealed, "I'm coming with you." "Going alone is more dangerous. They'll be safe together." "I have to find George, Ron, and Harry," Fred said decisively. "They're my family. They could be in danger." "Okay, how about we rest for 2 minutes, then search together," Derek suggested. "Catch our breath, then go as one. That way we won't get separated." Fred studied him carefully, clearly weighing whether Derek might be tricking him. Then, without warning, a green light shot from the darkness, illuminating the treetops. A massive glowing symbol appeared. An enormous skull formed from countless green star-like points, a huge serpent emerging from its mouth like a tongue. The skull rose higher, green mist swirling around it. Screams erupted through the forest, and the temporarily calm crowd panicked again, struggling to flee the area. "The Dark Mark?" Fred whispered in fear, gripping Derek's shoulder, hands trembling. "Mate, we have to get over there. See if it's them." He stopped mid-sentence, cut off by Ginny's high, terrified voice. "What is that thing, Fred? What are you going to do?" But Derek couldn't respond. Within seconds of the mark appearing, a memory deep inside his mind exploded, countless indistinct images flashing like lightning. A sudden wave of terror swept through him, every pore opening as if screaming at him to flee. He lost control of his body, stiffly collapsing to his knees, dragging Hermione down with him. The ebony wand in his right hand burned unbearably, shaking violently, its heat almost unbearable. In a haze, Derek felt someone repeatedly patting his back. "Derek! Derek! Step back! Give him fresh air! Revive him! Revive him!" A flash of red light restored control of his body. He dropped the wand immediately, his palm blistered and raw. Trembling, he wiped the sweat from his face, the pain focusing his mind. He forced his mind blank, locking away the violent images and emotions. "Mate, look at me! Can you speak? Tell me how you feel!" someone demanded, shaking his shoulders roughly. A few more seconds passed. The dense forest, dark soil, and swaying figures returned to his vision. He lifted his head and saw Cedric Diggory's anxious face. "Phew," he exhaled weakly. "Thanks! Stop shaking me!" "I'm dizzy." Cedric exhaled too, sitting down opposite him and quickly fiddling with his wand. "Were you sick?" Cedric asked. "When I came over, you were on your knees, shaking." They were terrified. Following Cedric's gaze, Derek saw Fred and Ginny looking worried at his sides, Hermione kneeling beside him, gripping his hand tightly. "How long was I like that?" he asked, not answering Cedric, instead nudging Hermione. "Did they find Harry and the others?" Hermione let out a nearly inaudible sob, her jaw clenched so tightly her facial muscles strained. Fred answered his question. "About 5 minutes. You collapsed suddenly. We were terrified. Luckily, Diggory was nearby, cast a few healing spells on you. In that state, we couldn't go look for them." His voice sank lower at the end. Snap! Jason appeared beside a tree, hair disheveled but clothes relatively intact. He was unhurt, and upon seeing them, his expression relaxed. "Sirius saw Harry over there. I came for you," his voice suddenly tense. "Son, are you hurt?" He crouched beside Derek, casting a sharp light from his wand to check him carefully. "I'm fine, Dad." Derek pushed his hand away. "Just a bit of a headache. Cedric used a vitality charm. I feel much better. Can we go back to the tent?" Jason studied him skeptically. "All right, let's go." He helped Derek up. Hermione picked up the wand from the ground, gestured to Fred and Ginny, and then turned to Cedric. "Thanks for your help, Mr. Diggory. Are you heading back?" "No, thank you, Mr. Greengrass," Cedric said, waving at Derek. "I'll wait in my tent for my dad." Walking along, Jason and Hermione flanked Derek on either side as if he were seriously injured. He allowed their support. His legs were genuinely weak. "Mr. Like Greengrass, is everyone okay?" Fred asked eagerly. "Your brothers Bill and Percy have minor injuries. Charlie's fine," Jason replied. "They should already be back at Sirius's tent. Arthur and I spoke briefly. Tonight everyone will stay together. It's safer that way." "And the Dark Mark?" Hermione asked hoarsely. "Unknown," Jason shook his head. Ministry officials led dozens of wizards toward the mark, including Arthur. Harry and the others seemed to be over there too, so Sirius followed. "Honestly," he added after seeing Fred and Ginny's worried expressions, "the group tonight looked imposing, but they're cowards at heart, not even willing to use high-level dark magic. They ran at the sight of the mark like mice seeing a cat. No one will get hurt. Arthur and Sirius are there. They'll be safe." Hermione's shoulders twitched as she gripped Derek so tightly his fingers nearly cracked. Back at the tent, Bill sat by the small tea table, a sheet wrapped around his arm as blood oozed through. Charlie's shirt was ripped, and Percy proudly showed a nosebleed, easing Fred and Ginny's concern. With Hermione's help, Derek leaned on the sofa, every muscle in his body aching and weak. Soon Sirius and Mr. Weasley returned with Harry, George, and Ron, recounting getting separated, getting lost, and the events under the Dark Mark. Percy looked furious, as if he had personally suffered the most. "I must say, Mr. Crouch did brilliantly. He doesn't need a disobedient, troublemaking house elf around," he said haughtily. "In Crouch's position, every detail must be perfect." Sirius snorted disdainfully, making Percy flush. Hermione shook her messy hair and opened her mouth to speak, but closed it, staying silent. "Thanks, Percy. I'm sure your boss will be grateful for your defense for life," Ron said impatiently. "Can someone explain that skull? It didn't harm anyone. Why was everyone running scared?" Derek perked up. "That's Voldemort's mark, Ron," Sirius said. The words made most of the tent shiver. Voldemort and his Death Eaters leave a dark mark after a killing. Death Eaters, Harry asked. What's that? Death Eaters are followers of the Dark Lord, their own term for themselves, Mr. Weasley said. Thank goodness no one died tonight. Sirius let out a loud, scornful laugh. Whoever made the dark mark tonight actually helped the Death Eaters. Those cowardly fools ran at the sight of it. We didn't even get a chance to unmask them. Shameful. What about the Muggles? Derek asked. They went through so much. Bill peeled the sheet from his arm to check the wound. They're fine. We're wizards. They didn't hit the ground thanks to the Roberts family. Their memories are being modified, so there'll be no lasting harm. What do the Death Eaters want? Harry asked. Floating Muggles in midair. What's the point? Point. Mr. Weasley's face twisted in disgust. Harry, it's their entertainment, tormenting and killing Muggles. They probably had a few drinks and wanted a little party tonight. Then why do Death Eaters run at the Dark Mark? Ron asked. They should be thrilled, proud, right? Think, Ron, Hermione said impatiently. Like Lucius Malfoy, they committed countless crimes under the Dark Lord, but when he disappeared, they lied and evaded Azkaban. The Dark Lord isn't merciful. They fear his return even more than we do. So the person who conjured the Dark Mark, Derek said thoughtfully, were they just drunk, or trying to scare disloyal allies, or showing off that Voldemort is coming back? At the last remark, everyone in the tent shivered, except Sirius and the British wizards with Harry. That's impossible, Derek. We have Dumbledore, Mr. Weasley said dryly. Go get some sleep. I'll talk to the Ministry and try to get the Portkey back early tomorrow. I'm coming with you, Sirius stood. The Ministry should be apologizing to me at times like this. I need your help, Arthur Sirius, Jason said. Could you get us the fastest permission to return to the U.S. or a Portkey? Derek is sick. All eyes in the tent turned toward Derek in unison. I just mispronounced a spell. Derek had prepared his excuse on the way. Calmly, he raised his right hand. Got a few burns, a little headache, nothing more. Spell shock isn't serious, Charlie said, tapping his palm with his wand. A couple of days' rest will fix it. Here's what we'll do, Jason, Mr. Weasley said, exhausted. The Ministry must be in chaos by now. Let's get out of here first. I'll try to arrange a Portkey. If that doesn't work, you can stay at Sirius's, mine, or the Leaky Cauldron. Is that okay? Okay, thanks, Arthur. Jason nodded. Only a few hours of sleep, and Sirius was already waking them. He magically packed up the tent into his backpack, and they hurried from the camp. Along the way, they saw the Muggle caretaker standing at the little stone house, looking dazed. He waved goodbye and mumbled a garbled, Merry Christmas. He'll be fine, Mr. Weasley said as they strode toward the marsh. Sometimes, when someone's memory is modified, they get a little confused for a while, especially if what they're meant to forget is a big event. Leading them, Mr. Weasley chose secluded paths, winding and twisting. Once they were away from other people and noise, he stopped and pulled an empty tin box and an old soda can from his bag. This morning, Basil came by quietly and gave me 2 Portkeys, he said. The tin goes to the Burrow, the can to 12 Grimmauld Place. He kept stressing that no one should see them. Everyone here wants to leave as quickly as possible, so it's best to be discreet. Grimmauld Place? Ron asked Harry. The one you said not to write the address in letters? Yes, Harry said. 12 Grimmauld Place. You can come see it when you have time. Ron smiled faintly. Thanks a lot, Sirius. You've saved us at least 2 hours, Mr. Weasley said. Molly must be worried about the kids after everything that happened. No trouble at all, Arthur, Sirius said casually. The Ministry would be thrilled if I caused them problems. Ready to leave in a few minutes? Mr. Weasley checked his pocket watch. 4 minutes. All right, everyone. Get ready, Sirius said. Once I tidy up the house a bit, you're all invited in. 4 minutes later, Sirius, Harry, Jason, Derek, and Hermione arrived at Grimmauld Place, guiding the old soda can. In the center of the square was a neglected patch of grass, surrounded by houses with grim facades that seemed to repel anyone. Some windows were broken, reflecting the dim morning light. Many doors had peeling paint, and debris was stacked outside some of the steps. Sirius led the way to a spot between 2 houses. Derek looked up at the house in front of them. They were standing outside number 11. Number 10 was to the left, 13 to the right. Harry already told you, Sirius said to Derek and Hermione. Now think of 12 Grimmauld Place. As Derek repeated it silently, a shabby door appeared between 11 and 13. Soon, grimy walls and dark windows formed around it, as if a house had grown from the gap. Hermione drew in a sharp breath. A faint smile crossed Harry's face. Sirius carefully scanned the windows on either side, ensuring the Muggle residents weren't watching. He led them up the cracked stone steps to a scratched door. The silver knocker was a coiled serpent. He tapped it with his wand, and Derek heard the clang of metal and the rattle of chains as the door creaked open. Inside, a row of old gas lamps flickered to life, casting unstable light over the peeling wallpaper and threadbare carpet in the long, shadowed hall. A musty, damp, sweet smell filled the air. Sirius closed the door, shutting out the dim morning light. "Follow me. Watch your step," Sirius whispered. "There are things inside. I don't want to wake her." Harry glanced back, a wry smile under the half-shadowed light on his face. "Be especially careful. Don't make any noise in front of the curtain. What's behind it is very unfriendly." They carefully walked through the foyer, down a narrow stone staircase, and through a door into the kitchen. There, Remus Lupin was sprawled over the table in a tattered robe, an arm pressed down on a stack of newspapers, asleep. At the sound of footsteps, Lupin immediately woke. "You're back. Glad no one was hurt," he said, shoulders slumping as he walked to the stove. "Eat something. I made breakfast, bacon and eggs, tea and toast." Sirius raised an eyebrow. "I was going to share an exciting story with you, Moonface, but it seems you already know it." "Of course I do," Lupin said, busy at the stove with his back to them. "A dark mark appearing is no small matter. The Daily Prophet has reported it in detail." Derek glanced at the newspaper on the table. The headline read, "Horrifying Scenes at the Quidditch World Cup," accompanied by a stark black and white photo of a dark mark hanging over a treetop. "The owls woke me before dawn. I never expected something like this to happen," Lupin said as he used his wand to distribute 5 large plates. He nodded to Jason. "You must be Derek's father. I'm Remus Lupin. Pleased to meet you." "I've heard about you, Professor Lupin." Jason shook his hand. "Derek really enjoys your classes." "The pleasure is mine," Lupin said with a faint smile. "Eat quickly. You must be starving." The room settled into quiet, the crackle of the fire, clinking of cups and trays, and the soft sound of chewing. "How bad is it?" Lupin asked once they had eaten their fill, Harry and Hermione dozing in their chairs. "The paper says no one died. That's fortunate." Sirius skimmed the front page, tutting under his breath. "Just as I expected," he muttered. "The Ministry panicked. The criminals weren't caught. Security lax. Dark wizards roaming free. National embarrassment. I've always thought the Ministry was incompetent, but the paper exaggerates. At least some were brave. Who wrote this? Ah, naturally, Rita Skeeter." "So it wasn't serious? A small misunderstanding?" Lupin asked. "Of course not," Sirius said disdainfully. "We just ran into a group of mice looking for fun. Their courage ran dry at the sight of the mark. The problem is, the dark mark was conjured using Harry's wand, and Crouch's house elf ended up with the consequences." "Harry's wand conjured the mark?" Lupin asked sharply. "The house elf stole Harry's wand?" Sirius and Harry proceeded to recount last night's events, their words overlapping, Lupin growing more serious by the minute. "Harry, you'll be in 4th year soon," he said sternly. "How can you still not properly safeguard your wand? A wand is a wizard's only weapon. You must protect it at all times." Harry lowered his head. "It's fine. Moonface will teach him properly," Sirius quickly said. "Now there's other work. Jason and I need to check the International Flow Network. Can you look after the 3 kids here?" "Sure, no problem." Lupin nodded reluctantly. With a soft click at the door, the kitchen grew silent. Harry stared at the floor, as if trying to bore a hole through it. Lupin flipped through the newspaper awkwardly. Derek, noticing Hermione leaning wearily on her arm, suggested, "Professor Lupin, we're all quite tired. Is there somewhere to rest?" He urgently needed a quiet place to sort his thoughts. Last night's events had heightened his unease. "Rooms on the 3rd and 4th floors," Lupin said, standing. "I've set up cots for you. I'll take you up, you can shower, and get a good night's sleep." Hermione opened her eyes. "Wait, Professor Lupin, can you check on Derek? He had a bit of an incident last night." "I'm fine, Hermione," Derek said quickly. "I told you. It was just a miscast spell. I'm okay now." Hermione's expression mirrored Lupin's from minutes before. I don't understand why you hid the truth from everyone, Derek. You collapsed badly yesterday. I was holding you, she said, a blush flickering across her face. I understand privacy, but you could at least let Professor Lupin help. We've kept secrets together before, sworn oaths, haven't we? If you want, Harry and I can leave. Leave the kitchen to you. Harry looked up, confused. Wait, what secret? What oath? Oh! Hermione kicked Harry under the table. I noticed a few blisters on your hand, Lupin said gently. Do they need treatment? Feeling Hermione's sincere gaze, Derek's heart softened. He held out his right hand. Burns, right? Lupin examined it carefully for a minute before raising his wand. Not Madame Pomfrey level, but minor injuries like this are simple. A faint blue glow flowed from the wand tip. The blisters shrank until they disappeared, leaving only faintly reddened skin. All better, Lupin said, releasing his hand and sliding the chair closer. I fully respect your choice, Derek. Do you want my help? Chapter 34, Counsel. Derek considered the proposal carefully. It was tempting. Remus Lupin was a knowledgeable and capable wizard who understood his situation. They had already forged a unique friendship built on mutual trust. Revealing only part of the truth could allow him to receive help while keeping his deepest secrets safe, a risk worth taking. As for trusting the other two in the kitchen, Derek hesitated. By sheer accident, Sirius had cleared his name, and Derek's relationship with Harry had progressed rapidly from mere acquaintances to friends. Yet Derek felt their bond wasn't deep enough for total openness. Critically, Harry was at the heart of the fight against Voldemort, closely monitored by both Dumbledore and Voldemort alike. Entrusting his secrets to someone so exposed was risky. His bond with Hermione, however, was far stronger. Since starting school last year, they had studied, adventured, and shared countless moments together. Being friends with Hermione was a blessing. She was intelligent, genuinely concerned for her friends, and loyal. Confiding in her would lighten Derek's burden. The pressure would no longer rest solely on his shoulders. The complication, though, was that they were currently in Harry's home. Evicting the host from the kitchen to privately confer with close friends and mentors would be extremely rude and disrespectful, placing Hermione and Lupin in an awkward position. Derek glanced at Hermione hesitantly. She immediately stood, tugging Harry's sleeve. Harry, could you take me to my room? I'm really tired. Do you want the 3rd floor or 4th floor? Harry asked, a bit slow to catch on. Weren't you supposed to be discussing something? I've cleared a room on the 4th floor for Hermione, Lupin reminded him. Take her upstairs to rest, Harry. Once Hermione half pulled, half led Harry out of the kitchen, Lupin sipped the now cold tea in his cup before speaking. Derek, the trouble you're facing, this is the same issue we discussed before, right? Yes, Professor, Derek replied. My mind just malfunctioned yesterday. It suddenly went out of control. Lupin gave him a comforting smile. My teaching career ended a month and a half ago. I doubt I'll have another opportunity to teach. If you like, you can call me Remus, just like Harry and Sirius do. Remus. Derek shifted slightly forward, eager. Do you have any advice? Start by telling me what happened last night, Lupin said. Was it severe? Derek shuffled his feet nervously on the dark floor. I don't fully understand it myself, he admitted. The dark mark appeared, and my mind went instantly out of control. Flashing images overwhelmed me. I was terrified. Afterward, I barely managed to lock them away using the mind-sealing charm. Lupin pinched the bridge of his nose. Was yesterday the first time you saw the dark mark? Yes, Derek confirmed. Had you ever heard of it before? From newspapers, books, your mother's work reports, or idle chatter? Derek strained to recall the faint memories of his original life. Probably not, he said uncertainly after a moment. I'd been in the U.S. all the time. I wouldn't have come across it. All right, Lupin's tone rose slightly, non-committal. Anything else? Yes, Derek said firmly. Since the holidays began, every night before bed I practiced the mind-sealing charm. Each time I entered a strange dream, a stone pit holding my memories. Touching it triggered a rapid flood of images, dizzying, impossible to comprehend fully. Then I would wake up. He shifted anxiously. Remus, is this a normal stage of the mind-sealing charm? When my control strengthens, will I be able to clearly see these images? Lupin tapped the table with his fingers thoughtfully. Each time stored touched, he murmured. How did you touch the memories? Well, I just touched them. Squatting by the pit, I could reach them with my hand, Derek said urgently. Should I be reinforcing my mind-sealing charm? Don't rush, Derek. Follow my reasoning, Lupin replied calmly. Can I understand correctly? In these nightly dreams, you have a body. The question struck Derek as odd. Of course he had a body. Otherwise, he wouldn't be human. Of course I have a body, Derek said. I can walk, reach, squat, do anything. A flicker of surprise passed through Lupin's eyes. Professor? Derek asked instinctively, returning to the formal address. Do you have any advice? I've said it more than once, but it bears repeating. Lupin smiled. Derek, you truly have talent. I've always thought I had some aptitude for magic, but now we're talking about my difficulty. Derek's impatience showed as he asked for the third time, Do you have advice, Remus? Don't be impatient, Lupin said with a smile. From yesterday, it's clear your memory has issues, but in the long run, these will not be problems for you. Why not? When I first taught you one-on-one, I said your thinking was extremely stable. That strength helps you master the mind-sealing charm quickly. I didn't expect your progress to be so rapid. Don't you realize your subconscious is already strong enough to construct stable dreams and clear personal projections? You mean you have a very clear sense of self. Your emotions are stable, your will is strong, and your character is mature. Your memories have indeed been altered. Perhaps you've forgotten some things, and maybe those things are important. But you are still you, Derek Greedo. Nothing can permanently change that. For someone who's only been practicing mental shielding for 6 months, you can already suppress unnecessary emotions and memories. Give yourself another year, 2, or even 3 or 4, and do you think your mind would still let those things wreak havoc? I understand what you mean, Derek frowned. Eventually, I can fix it. But what about now? Shouldn't I be doing something? Since July, I've felt completely insecure. Don't be impatient, Derek, Lupin said for the third time. I understand your feelings, but what do you really have to worry about? At Hogwarts, there's Dumbledore and the professors. At home, you have your parents. You are mature and vigilant, and I'm here to help. What danger could you possibly face? Derek was momentarily speechless. Maybe this isn't the best comparison, Lupin said, patting his shoulder, his tone a little heavy. Think about Harry's situation. Voldemort is still active in the country, capable of bringing death at any moment. After what happened 14 years ago, he probably wants Harry dead more than anyone else. And yet Harry still goes to school, still plays Quidditch, still experiences love, graduation, and work in the future. He doesn't live in constant fear. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. Don't set unrealistically high goals. Don't burden your mind. You need time to grow. The road ahead is long. To borrow a Muggle saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. Lupin didn't give him a concrete plan or solution. Instead, he served him a large helping of encouragement. And after drinking that metaphorical bowl of chicken soup, the tension Derek had held since July finally loosened. He felt a long-lost sense of relief and just wanted a good night's sleep to temporarily set aside mental shielding. Yes, give me a few more years to recover my memories. The entire British wizarding world would be just another book. What is there to fear? By the afternoon, the exhausted trio had gotten out of bed when Jason and Sirius returned with bad news. Arthur's in trouble. That blasted reporter, Sirius said. Rita Skeeter deliberately twisted what Arthur said after the Darkmark incident, spreading rumors about bodies in the forest. He's been busy clarifying, while clueless fools keep sending shouting letters to the ministry. So Mr. Weasley couldn't help us? Derek asked Jason. Exactly. The entire British ministry is tied up with the World Cup fallout, and they've shut down all international flu networks, Jason said, frustrated. The Flu Network office claims it's to prevent rioters from escaping abroad. Ridiculous. Without permission, anyone using the international network could end up anywhere. Don't they know this? Then what if we just send Mom a letter? Derek suggested. Then let Parliament and the ministry negotiate. I already suggested it. They refused, Jason said, spreading his hands. The worst part is, we don't have passports, so no flying home either. Then what do we do? Derek said, surprised. We can't broomstick across the Atlantic, can we? I have a suggestion, Sirius said enthusiastically. Stay here for now. The three of you can do homework together, and when you have free time, help me tidy the house. Harry, once it's cleaner, you can invite Ron over. Dad? Derek asked, looking for confirmation. Let's stay here temporarily, Jason said, resigned. Hopefully, Claire can do something. Valentine's Day special. Once all the hardship and turmoil had passed, on the morning of February 14th, Derek woke to find the other three beds empty. Only Ernie stood before the dressing mirror, adjusting his bow tie, his black robes perfectly neat, not a wrinkle in sight. Good morning, Mr. Headboy, the mirror image winked. You overslept. Hurry up and get ready. Today is a big day. The head girl is waiting for you on the 8th floor. Derek, still groggy, picked up the red and gold pocket watch from his nightstand. What's going on? He asked, puzzled. It's Saturday, barely 8:30. There's no need to go to Hogsmeade this early, and why are we dressing so sharp? To be fair, the first thought flashing through Ernie's mind was looking all proper and pompous. They exchanged a surprised glance. Derek, mate, Ernie said, if this is the start of a joke, save it for noon or evening. No need to rehearse it with me. I'm not joking, Derek said. Explain why everyone's acting so strange on this ordinary Hogsmeade weekend, waking up early, getting dressed up. And what exactly do you mean by big day? Ernie's mouth slowly dropped open, wide enough to fit a frog. You haven't forgotten, have you? He asked in disbelief. Such an important day, and you're unprepared? Stop beating around the bush. I genuinely don't understand, Derek said, sliding on his slippers as he headed to the bathroom. Is there some magical way to make this plain day exciting? After a rustle of books and parchment, Ernie leaned against the doorframe of the bathroom, holding a calendar in his right hand. He opened it and read aloud. February 14th, Saturday, Valentine's Day. The toothbrush slipped from Derek's hand into the sink, and he immediately realized he'd made a huge mistake. Merlin, being student council president is so demanding. I've been running non-stop, Derek muttered blankly. I completely forgot it was Valentine's Day. I thought today was just a normal Hogsmeade weekend. Ernie scrutinized him carefully. So you didn't make any preparations at all? None, Derek replied dryly. You're officially the worst boyfriend I've ever seen, Ernie said with a smirk. Completely unprepared for Valentine's Day. Your female student council president is going to be furious. Good luck, Derek. He turned and left the dorm, leaving Derek stunned. In front of the mirror, Derek's mind raced as countless ideas sparked in his head. I think I can still salvage this, he muttered to himself. In the Gryffindor girls' dormitory, 3 seventh-year girls were bustling around. Hermione was carefully sorting through her clothes when Ginny pushed the door open. Parvati, Terry but asked me to check if you're ready yet. He's been waiting by the common room for half an hour. Tell him, not yet, Parvati said, curling her hair with her wand. This perfect curling spell still needs 20 minutes. Then let him wait, Ginny said, plopping onto Hermione's bed. Watching her friend agonize over choices, she reminded, Hermione, you should start your makeup now, or we'll run out of time. I knew it. There's never enough time, Hermione said anxiously. Which color robe do you think I should wear? I think you should spray your hair with the smoothing potion first. Want me to help style it? Ginny asked. Thanks, Hermione replied, still staring at the clothes spread out on the bed, murmuring to herself. 15 minutes later, Ginny set the smoothing potion back on the vanity, waved her wand deftly, and Hermione's hair flowed into a perfect style. All done. You look stunning, enough to impress a dozen boys, let alone the student council president, Ginny said with a grin. Just add some light makeup. Wait, Hermione finally realized. You spent time helping me. What about you? Harry's still waiting. Don't even mention that fool, Ginny said irritably. I went to the boys' dorm earlier. He and Ron were still asleep. I doubt Neville told me they were up until midnight playing gobstones yesterday. Boys, Hermione winced slightly. They are hopeless in some ways. Sometimes I wonder how we've been friends with them for so long, she said, glancing at the open trunk. Maybe the robe isn't the best choice. Derek might prefer something more normal. Should I wear muggle clothes? Ginny groaned. Don't think like that, Hermione. You've been together almost 4 years. Do you really think he'd be upset because you're wearing wizard robes? By the time Hermione and Ginny reached the Great Hall, most of the food had been eaten. Surprisingly, they didn't see Derek at the Hufflepuff table. After breakfast, they went to the front entrance, and Derek still hadn't shown up. The line toward Hogsmeade had already moved halfway. "Don't tell me Derek overslept too," Ginny whispered. "Like Harry and Ron?" Hermione's eye twitched. Even after the tardy Harry finally emerged with Ginny, Derek had not appeared. Filch rolled up his long list and cleared his throat at Hermione. She straightened her mouth, pretending not to hear. Just as Filch frowned and cleared his throat again, running footsteps echoed in the hallway. 3 seconds later, Derek skidded to a halt beside Hermione, panting heavily. "I'm so sorry, Hermione. Something unexpected came up and I ran as fast as I could. Wow, you look amazing today." Hermione wore a white blouse with blue prints and a British-style plaid skirt. Her shiny hair was pulled into a side-parted ponytail, 2 fine strands framing her face, exuding youthful radiance. Derek was momentarily stunned. Every careful detail in his girlfriend's appearance always seemed to surprise him anew. Hermione couldn't help but smile, looping her arm through Derek's and giving him a subtle pinch. "Don't think flattery will get you off the hook." "You two, are you going to Hogsmeade or not?" Filch asked darkly. "Of course. Let's go," Derek said, taking Hermione's hand and walking steadily across the grounds. "So, why were you late today?" Hermione asked after enjoying a moment of spring air. Derek decided he would forever bury his Valentine's Day oversight and never let his girlfriend know. "It's a surprise," he said, lightly kissing her cheek. "Dear Miss Granger, can you keep your curiosity until tonight?" "Sure, I'm looking forward to it," Hermione said, smiling and tugging his hand as they jogged a few steps. "It's been so long since I felt this relaxed. This is nice." "Between graduation season and our duties, we've been so busy," Derek said with a wistful smile. "I suddenly want to graduate. Then I could take you out all the time." "We should really report this to Professor McGonagall," Hermione said hesitantly. "As student council presidents, technically we're leading by example in breaking school rules." "You go and hand Harry over and the ministry will know Hogwarts has 3 unregistered animagi," Derek said lazily. "They'd have to arrest us and put us on trial." "Ah, but of course I wouldn't go quietly. Then I could take you to the U.S. to hide, get married, have kids. Is that what you want, my girlfriend?" "Go to hell. You're delusional," Hermione said, half shy, half annoyed, swinging a punch at him. "What on earth is in your head?" Laughing and playfully bickering, they spent the day fully enjoying Hogsmeade, sampling sweets at Honeyduke's, inspecting the latest prank items at Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, whispering over butterbeer at the Three Broomsticks, playing cards with odd patrons at the Hog's Head, selecting quills at Scribulus, and finally buying 2 robes at Elegant Wizarding Attire. "We should head back to school," Hermione said, glancing at the darkening sky and wrapping her arms around his neck. "Where's your surprise, Derek? If you don't give it now, it'll be too late." "My dear, our day's only just begun," Derek said, leading her into a quiet alley. "Follow me with Apparition. I'll show you your Valentine's gift." "Out again? But we should be going back to school," Hermione said, astonished. "It's Valentine's Day, once a year, my girlfriend," Derek lied smoothly. "I've been planning this for a long time." "But this is so obvious. We can't," Hermione protested. A minute later, she surrendered to Derek's kiss. With a pop, they appeared atop London's Tower Bridge. Night had fallen over London, stars twinkling, lights reflecting on the Thames, ships moving through the river. The stillness and movement created a magical harmony. "We're going to go up a little," Derek said softly, holding Hermione gently. "Don't be afraid." He drew an arc in the air with his wand. Amid Hermione's startled cries, the invisible air solidified beneath them, lifting them higher and higher, the Thames shrinking below. Derek covered her eyes with one hand and spoke softly. "Under this brilliant starlight and breathtaking view, my beautiful girl, I have a Valentine's gift for you. Will you look down?" Trembling, Hermione peeked through her fingers. Her gasp of amazement came instantly. Below them, the Thames glowed unnaturally bright. A rose slowly bloomed in the river's center, above which appeared the words, "Hermione, I love you." Derek extended his right hand, producing a real rose. He held Hermione close, pinned the flower in her hair, and kissed her deeply. "My girl, happy Valentine's Day." Author's note, Valentine's sweets are a bit late. Half an hour passed, but happy Valentine's Day to everyone. The hardest part, writing something this sweet while being single myself. Chapter 35. Daily Life. For the following week, Jason rarely stayed at 12 Grimmauld Place. Early each morning, before anyone else was awake, he headed to the ministry, returning only by dinner. Sirius and Lupin paid little attention to them. They were still battling the messy house. This left the trio free to do whatever they pleased, fully enjoying the last days of summer. Harry even invited Ron over via the fireplace, but after one visit, Ron insisted Harry come to the Weasley house. "It's small, but bright and clean," he said. "Living in a place like that feels stifling otherwise." "Now the ministry's a total mess," Jason said warily one night. "The newspapers haven't reported it, but the chaos has spread internationally. Claire must know the World Cup caused a major uproar, and we can't even communicate with her." "Mr. Greedo, have you tried calling the U.S. internationally? The ministry surely wouldn't block Muggle communication?" Hermione asked, sitting by the kitchen fire, reading while repairing a stack of yellowed notebooks with magical tape. Jason's eyes lit up. "Thank you for reminding me, Hermione. I can't believe I forgot the phone," he said excitedly. "I'll head to the phone booth right now." He strode out, the metal chain of the door clinking behind him. At the same time, the boiler room made a noise. Sirius kicked the door open, carrying a makeshift bundle in his left hand and a house elf by the neck in his right, storming out in a fury. "Sirius!" Hermione screamed, dropping her notebook. "What are you doing?" "Cleaning the house, Hermione," Sirius said, glancing at the creature with disgust. Creature's corner was hiding a lot of junk. This was an extremely old house elf. Apart from a grimy rag tied around its waist, it was almost entirely bare. Its skin seemed far in excess of what its body actually needed, folded in wrinkles over its frame. Its head was bald, and from two enormous bat-like ears sprouted tufts of white hair. Its eyes were bloodshot, and its fleshy nose was large, almost like a pig's. "Creature keeps the house spotless. Creature serves the noble house of Black loyally for life," the house elf said in a deep, croaky voice reminiscent of a bullfrog. "But the young master is a detestable, ungrateful, vile wretch who has broken his mother's heart. Mudbloods and unknown offspring desecrate the ancient Black estate." "Don't you dare call her a mudblood!" Harry snapped angrily from the side. Derek's eyes narrowed, scanning the creature with pure disdain. "It's fine," Hermione whispered. "He's not right in the head. He doesn't know what he's saying." "Stop fooling yourself, Hermione." Sirius tossed the tattered bundle into the trash, irritation clear in his voice. "He knows perfectly well what he's saying. I want you in your corner. Do not come out. Understand, creature?" Creature dared not defy the direct command. Yet as it shuffled its feet back toward the boiler room, it cast Sirius a look filled with searing hatred, muttering under its breath. "Back from Azkaban, yet now meddling with creature. Oh, my poor mistress's house, overrun by vile people, and I hear the man is even a murderer." "Shut up! And inside!" Sirius barked, slamming the door in the house elf's face. "Sirius, I think something's wrong with his mind," Hermione said, clenching her fists. "He's served this house for so long. We should care about him." "When did you start caring about house elves?" Derek asked, picking up common transfiguration techniques again. "Creature's a mad, disobedient creature. It insults you with those words, and you still feel pity for it? I think house elves are intelligent and have feelings, yet they serve wizards. That's unfair," Hermione said. "At the Quidditch World Cup, that elf Winky did nothing wrong, yet Crouch abandoned her. They deserve respect, and they deserve their own rights." "You want to support elf independence?" Derek shook his head. "I'd advise against it. Think about elf rebellions. The rise of intelligent beings could cost wizards dearly. You know enough magical history to see that." Hermione's eyes widened, clearly wanting to argue, but Harry raised a hand. "Can we change the subject?" he said. "Hermione, have you checked your notes? We can start studying now." Reluctantly, Hermione turned her attention back to the table. "Professor McGonagall explained the principles of animagus transformation, but not the specifics. After reviewing the notes, I understand it better. This spell is extremely, extremely, extremely dangerous," she repeated 3 times. "I understand why the ministry strictly regulates its practitioners." "Explain," Derek said, intrigued. "Because animagus is a complete biological transformation," she said, inhaling deeply. "The first time you attempt it is the moment you must succeed. You can spend long hours learning and preparing, but you can't practice it in parts. There's no room for failure or trial. You must succeed all at once. Exactly. That's the challenge, Sirius said, lifting his chin. James and I did it in one go. I think I understand, Derek said slowly. Any mistake can be catastrophic. Repeated practice increases success, but here, the student has only one chance. No wonder there are so few animagi. Wizards won't take such risks. Harry looked utterly confused. I don't get it. Can someone explain in detail? Harry, animagus transformation is basically the pinnacle of transfiguration, Hermione said in her patient yet relentless tone. It allows a human to fully transform into another creature, potentially permanently. Harry snorted, and everyone in the kitchen thought of the dwarf Peter. Complete biological transformation differs fundamentally from simple prank transformations or advanced creature transformations, Hermione continued nonchalantly. Professor McGonagall can wave her wand and turn us into birds temporarily, but that ends and we return to human form. Animagus transformation is permanent. Imagine, even a tiny mistake could leave your arm permanently as a wing. Harry gasped in horror. Hermione's expression betrayed satisfaction at his reaction. Learning animagus can't tolerate failure, she stressed. Any flaw leaves permanent marks. Are you all still committed to learning? Harry simultaneously nodded and shook his head, twisting his neck in confusion. Derek, however, nodded eagerly. I want something challenging. Current transfiguration lessons are too easy. Sirius's carefree voice shattered the tense atmosphere Hermione had built. Well done, Derek. That's what a man should do. You'll need at least a year of theoretical study. When you attempt your first transformation, I'll be by your side. Don't worry, nothing will go wrong. After a few moments of silence, Harry nodded resolutely. I want to try. When do we start? Hermione scowled, crossed her arms, and left the kitchen, muttering under her breath about these boys. 2 days after Hermione suggested calling, Jansen returned to the house at noon, cheerfully carrying Derek's large trunk in a birdcage. I first contacted your mother, explained the situation. Then Parliament sent a document requiring the ministry to protect American wizards in the UK, Jansen said. So via Flu Network, your trunk was delivered directly. School starts in a few days. It would be too inconvenient to travel back and forth between the US and UK. And you? Derek put down his book and opened the trunk to check for missing items. When are you returning to New York? Tomorrow noon, by apparition, Jansen replied. Oh? Derek raised an eyebrow, mildly surprised. I thought you'd accompany me to King's Cross before leaving. That was your mother's plan. She said you're grown now and should learn to manage without parents fussing over everything, Jansen said. Derek shrugged indifferently. I can go to the station on my own. I can just grab a cab. Don't forget about us, Derek. Lupin, dressed in work clothes and carrying a bucket of Fooper eggs, appeared at the door to Derek and Harry's room. Sirius and I will definitely see you both off at the train. Yeah, that's right. Summer went by too fast. I'll really miss you guys. Sirius stepped into the room, tossing a pile of parcels onto Derek and Harry's beds. Make sure to come visit me again next year. Jason shook his head with an amused smile. Derek opened the birdcage and scattered a small handful of owl treats onto the wardrobe, soothing Panda, whom he hadn't seen in a while. Then he began unpacking the gifts Sirius had brought. Aside from standard spells, level 4 by Miranda Goshawk, there were 2 new quills, 10 rolls of parchment, and a neatly wrapped gift box. Why didn't I see my godson after I got back from Diagon Alley? Sirius asked. Ron invited Harry to the Weasley house to play Quidditch, Derek replied, unwrapping the gift box. You didn't go? Lupin asked. Aren't you on the team? And Hermione, did she go too? I'd rather read than watch Quidditch, same as Hermione, Derek said. What's this, a new Hogwarts robe? He pulled a robe from the box, a gradient of deep to light blue with fine golden embroidery along the collar, cuffs, and hem. Ah, that, Sirius said with a mischievous grin. A formal robe. Formal robes are for special occasions, Lupin added with a smile. You'll need them for big events at Hogwarts this year. Big events? More important than the World Cup? Derek asked. Hold on, Remus, Sirius interrupted, smiling. If Harry hasn't told you, then we won't either. This is going to be a surprise. Let my godson break the news to you. Harry, I'll be ready in a moment. Little Sirius says you should come down for breakfast, Derek replied. He mentioned we're a bit pressed for time. Oh, yes, I'll hurry. Give me 5 more minutes, Derek. Derek stood at the door, waiting for Hermione. Then, seemingly from nowhere, the house elf creature shuffled out of a shadow. It didn't appear to notice him at all, hunched over, dragging its feet, murmuring under its breath. Smells like gutters and criminals. That wretched, ungrateful scoundrel, bringing along his werewolf friend, that brat, Mudbloods, and that old fool to ruin my mistress's house. Oh, what a disgrace. Poor old creature. What can he do? Since moving into 12 Grimmauld Place, Derek had seen this scene more than once. Normally he ignored the mad little elf, but this time, something in its words made him pause. Among all the people coming and going in this house, who could it mean by old fool? Creature, he greeted. Still cleaning. The house elf froze, stopping its muttering, and adopted a look of exaggerated, though suspicious surprise. Creature did not see the young master earlier, it said, turning to bow to Derek. Its face still aimed at the floor, it continued in a voice loud enough to hear. The unidentified little brat who associates with mudbloods and werewolves. Sorry to interrupt your work, Derek said. I have a question. In the past 2 weeks, besides us, has anyone else visited this house? Creature shuddered. I'm asking you, Derek said clearly. Has an elderly man been here recently? Answer only that, nothing else. Creature's eyes bulged. After a few moments, it reluctantly answered. To the young master, yes. The old man had a long white beard. He came last night, correct? Derek pressed. The young master speaks correctly, the house elf answered with difficulty. As expected, Albus Dumbledore had found a trace of Voldemort, then informed 2 of Harry's closest elders. That explains Sirius's odd mood this morning. They were warning Harry to stay alert. Could this trace be connected to the Dark Mark at the Quidditch World Cup? My trunk barely closed. I really have too much stuff. The bedroom door suddenly swung open. Crookshanks shot down the stairs, and Hermione struggled to drag her luggage to the doorway. The trunk's lid looked barely shut, leaving a noticeable gap. She froze, staring at the pair in the doorway. Let's go eat, Derek said. The trunk can be handled magically. Hermione shyly nodded to the house elf. Good morning, creature. The elf's pale eyes widened, flickering with anger and contempt. Quiet. Don't speak, Derek said briskly. Disappear from our sight now. Creature choked, its throat moving violently as if it couldn't breathe. Then, throwing them a venomous glare, it shuffled off around the corridor corner. You shouldn't have treated him that way. You should be gentler, Hermione scolded as Derek dragged her along. He's served this house for ages. We should respect him. Give him a voice only to hear that insult come out, Derek said. He's a creature brainwashed by pureblood ideology. You can't deal with him like a normal being. Since the World Cup, you seem obsessed with house elves. Reminder, they are not entertaining companions. So far, I only know 3 house elves, Dobby, Winky, and Creature. None have had it easy, Hermione said slowly, organizing her thoughts. Wizards take what they want from them, never considering their feelings. I want to understand them more and give them respect. Derek shrugged, ending the topic. By now, they had reached the kitchen and heard Sirius's voice. If you encounter trouble or a problem, go to Alastor Moody. He's your new defense against the dark arts professor. Mad-Eye Moody? Hermione asked, surprised. Dumbledore appointed him? Seems he must have been in some book, Harry said, turning to her. Anti-dark arts master, right? He's an Auror, formerly at the Ministry, one of the best, now retired, Sirius explained, noticing Harry's puzzled expression. Aurors hunt dark wizards, very powerful. Half of Azkaban's cells were filled by his captives, so he has many enemies, mostly relatives of those he caught. Oh, and he's an old friend of Dumbledore's. The books say he's not very popular, Hermione said worriedly. Powerful, yes, but irritable, suspicious, trusting no one. That's true, Sirius admitted. During the resistance against Voldemort, we suffered heavy losses. Mad-Eye became extremely paranoid, even suspecting Remus at first because of his identity. Harry let out a small groan. You can hear these stories in a few years, Lupin said, adding porridge to everyone's bowl, signaling the conversation was over. We must hurry. Muggle taxis are arriving soon. The taxi driver was clearly intrigued by the idea of transporting 3 pets to the station, and even tried to tease Hedwig, only to get sharply pecked. Derek, Hermione, and Harry did their best to make small talk with the driver, answering his questions. He was curious which school allowed students to keep owls. When they finally stepped out at King's Cross, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. No need for a memory charm on the two drivers. Lugging their trunks through the crowded streets and into the station, soaked to the bone, they passed smoothly through platform 9 3/4 and boarded the deep crimson steam train. Sirius and Lupin didn't say much, only waving repeatedly as the train pulled away. Once the train was moving, Harry stood awkwardly in the aisle, staring at Derek for a couple of seconds before blushing slightly and speaking in a hesitant tone. Derek, Hermione and I need to find Ron. We have something to say." "So," Hermione fidgeted with the railing, nervously brushing her hair. "I'm going to find Ernie and Justin," Derek said casually. "See you at school. By the way, can you tell me what big event Hogwarts is holding this year?" "Oh, Sirius said it's the Triwizard Tournament," Harry replied. "Sounds exciting." Triwizard Tournament? Harry Potter actually said Hogwarts is hosting a Triwizard Tournament? "If you ask me again," Derek said, "I'll shove this mashed potato." "I'm just checking," Ernie protested. They were seated at the Hufflepuff table for the start-of-term feast. The Great Hall was as grand as ever, newly decorated for the occasion, with hundreds of candles floating above the tables, making goblets and golden plates sparkle. "Yes, Harry told me Hogwarts is holding the Triwizard Tournament this year," Derek said. "This news came from his godfather, Sirius. Don't ask me how Sirius knows." "Can someone explain what the Triwizard Tournament is?" Justin asked. "A duel between 3 people?" "The Triwizard Tournament is a competition between the 3 major European wizarding schools," Ernie explained. "It hasn't been held for a long time. I only heard vague stories from my parents. Didn't expect we'd get to experience it ourselves." "That definitely has nothing to do with us," Justin said, losing interest. "We're only 4th years. We still blow up cauldrons in potions class. No way we're part of any tournament." "I'd rather hear about the Quidditch World Cup," Derek said. "I really wanted to go, but couldn't get tickets. My parents are muggles after all." "If you're interested, I can give you some souvenirs, Bulgarian and Irish ones," Derek offered. "Harry invited me to the finals over the summer. My dad took me too. It was amazing," Zacharias said, swallowing a huge piece of steak with effort. "We were near the top tier and got a clear view of Victor Krum. He was incredible." Soon, the conversation spiraled into a nonstop discussion about the Quidditch World Cup, with Ernie and Zacharias eagerly retelling every detail to Justin. Derek, uninterested in bragging, turned his attention to the staff table, hoping to catch a glimpse of the famous Moody. However, the chair at the center of the staff table was empty. "Have you seen the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher?" he asked Susan. "Supposedly it's Mad-Eye Moody this year." "Moody's the new teacher?" Susan said in surprise. "That retired old Auror? My aunt mentioned him." "Mad-Eye? Is that a nickname?" Hannah asked, curious. "Yes," Susan replied. "My aunt said he fought bravely against dark wizards when he was young, lost an eye, and replaced it with a magical one." "A magical eye? What does it do?" "Don't know, my aunt didn't explain," Susan said. "But it must be impressive, otherwise he wouldn't have caught half of Azkaban's dark wizards." "Showing up late on the first day is not a good sign," Cedric interjected across the table. "I hope he's truly powerful and can teach us something practical, like Professor Lupin did." "I hope so, but I doubt it," Susan said. "Everyone says this class is cursed, right? No teacher lasts more than a year. Let's see, who have we had so far? Quirrell got possessed by the Dark Lord and died. Lockhart lost his memory," Hannah counted on her fingers. "Professor Lupin is a werewolf. Thinking back, accidents really are common. Merlin, help us with the new professor." Once the last crumbs of dessert vanished, Dumbledore stood, and the hum of conversation in the hall immediately fell silent. "All right," Dumbledore said with a smile. "Now that we're all full, I must remind you to pay attention. I have a few announcements. Filch has asked me to inform everyone that this year, additional items are banned in the castle. The full list is available in Mr. Filch's office for anyone interested." Derek noticed a sly grin tugging at the corners of the Weasley twins' mouths across the Gryffindor table. "Additionally, I must remind everyone that students are forbidden from entering the Forbidden Forest, and those below 3rd year may not visit Hogsmeade," Dumbledore continued. "I also regret to inform you that the House Cup Quidditch matches will not be held this year." Cedric's expression showed complete understanding. No surprise, only a quiet eagerness, clearly expecting this news.